Rashida Tlaib appeared on Chris Hayes last night, and she did what she had to do with respect to explaining all the things that she meant. And you know what? There's nothing that she said that I think any peace-loving person should disagree with. We ought to always check out who, in fact, is the aggressor. Do not conflate terrorists with Palestinians. Do not conflate terrorists with who these people are. So I want you to listen to her. First of all, Chris Hayes did an excellent piece previous to his conversation with her. And then she went on to say what she had to say. Listen to this, because I think the misinformation, the characterization that many would like to make of the likes of Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and others need to be placed not only in context, but not allow them to destroy these people's reputation. Peace-loving people. Check this out. We'll take it on the other side.
I will not be silenced, and I will not let you distort my words. I can't believe I have to say this, but Palestinian people are not disposable. We are human beings, just like anyone else. The cries of the Palestinian and Israeli children sound no different to me. Why? What I don't understand is why the cries of Palestinians sound different to you all.
Last night, 22 House Democrats joined with the Republican majority to censure the only Palestinian American in Congress, Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib. The resolution accused the congressman of, quote, promoting false narratives regarding the October 7th, 2023 Hamas attack on Israel and for calling for the destruction of the state of Israel. The congresswoman denies these accusations. The resolution also objects to a passage in a video she released early this month that calls on President Joe Biden to support a ceasefire in Gaza. Specifically, a segment of that video that depicted protesters in Tlaib's home state of Michigan chanting the phrase you see there, from the river to the sea. Now, the resolution called that chant, which is commonly used by some pro-Palestinian activists, quote, a genocidal call to violence to destroy the state of Israel and its people, and to replace it with a Palestinian state extending from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea. In a statement, Congresswoman Tlaib rejected that characterization, instead calling it, quote, an aspirational call for freedom, human rights, and peaceful coexistence, not death, destruction, or hate. What your conversations with your Democratic colleagues have been like over the last 24 hours, particularly if you've talked to any of the 22 that voted for the censure resolution?
I mean, many of my colleagues know I have an open door policy. They can come and talk to me about this, and they know the conversation will lead in me urging them to please save as many lives as possible, and that means calling for a ceasefire. Again, my colleagues know where my heart is, and they know that I have been pushing from day one of coexistence, of the days where both my grandparents, when they were born there, that there was coexistence among all faiths, living in peace. And, you know, much of what I'm seeing is distortion of my words, also in trying to silence my residents who have been calling from the beginning of freedom from inequality, freedom from the occupation, freedom from the violence. And so it has been really difficult, I think, for me as I walk on the House floor, walking there, watching many of the colleagues that voted for this not engage me. And they know I'm ready. I'm ready to have those conversations. And I think they're missing an opportunity to talk to a Palestinian American, serving with them. I have a lived experience that needs to be shared and be heard.
I want to sort of stipulate here that I think the censure resolution is a sort of ludicrous distraction amidst the sheer amount of human suffering happening in the region. So, you know, just to put that aside, but I do want to talk about this phrase, because obviously this was a phrase that I think really caught some folks, I think, Jewish Americans, supporters of Israel, different folks, and it reads differently to different people, from the river to the sea. The contention is that this is a call for a kind of anti-colonial expulsion, right? Similar to like Algeria kicking out the French, right? Like, get out of here, go back to wherever you came from. This is how it's heard, I think, to a lot of Jewish ears. And so I want you to explain like what you mean by it and why you used it or why you included it in the video.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm asking my colleagues, don't distort the words of my residents. Many people in this movement for human rights for Palestinians have always centered it around coexistence. You hear them calling for that and saying that, no matter your faith, your ethnicity, your background, you should be able to live without fear, without discrimination, without this kind of inequality that, Netanyahu's extremist party and his leadership has been pushing. And so for many of my colleagues, they know and deep in their hearts, where my heart is, and many of the folks, including the American Jewish community that's out there, demanding again the call again against this notion that we can't all live together. And so I think, again, this is just a moment right now that folks want to use the specific moment to silence the majority of Americans that are calling for a ceasefire, to silence this movement around actual peaceful coexistence. Because right now, that's not what Netanyahu wants. Netanyahu's current government, most extremist government in the history of Israel, is not calling for that. He's going to the United Nations and basically showing maps where Palestinians don't exist. And so I wish my colleagues would call out that.
Just to be clear here, I mean, when you talk about peaceful coexistence, you imagine a pluralistic democratic state in the full land from the river to the sea. As people call it the one-state solution. But that would be, I mean, fundamentally, the people that adhere to Zionism and think Israel should exist as a Jewish state, like, they're just not going to like that. I just want to clarify what the actual positions are.
I understand that. And, Chris, look, I grew up in the most beautiful, blackest city in the country where separate but equal didn't work. We saw it in our own country, but I'm not going to push it on the people. If folks want to push for a two-state, go for it. But guess what? Netanyahu's current government is not supporting that. He's literally said it to us over and over again. He doesn't want to coexist with Palestinians. And we're saying, no, we're going to have a peaceful coexistence and pushing against those that want to target people solely based on the fact they're Palestinian or if there's a different faith. And again, that's what my city that I grew up in taught me, is to push against that kind of racism, that kind of discrimination, and that kind of, again, call for elimination. If I'll use the words he said, cleanse Gaza. This is what I have to continue to speak truth to power on. And I'm not going to allow folks to distort or try to silence or, again, try to make out that my residents are calling for something, anything but the end to the violence.
So that is Rashida's position. Listen to her tonality and listen to what she says. And at the same time, listen to Netanyahu and his ilks. Listen to what they're asking for. Listen to what they want. And let's ask thereafter, who is the aggressor? Who is the one willing to cause the maiming, killing, and murder of children and adults alike? Again, let's not listen to the rhetoric that folks who have an ulterior motive would like to attain. Let's listen to the facts. Let's look at what our eyes are telling us.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.